Welcome back to the deep dive, where we plunge into complex topics, distill the most important nuggets of knowledge, and offer you a shortcut to truly understanding remarkable stories. Today, we're delving into a narrative so extraordinary, it challenges our very notions of what's achievable. How one individual went from, well, a really challenging childhood to becoming the richest person on Earth. It's a journey that, frankly, often feels more like a meticulously crafted saga than real life.
It really does. It's an arc that not only defies conventional expectations, but fundamentally reshapes industries along the way. Our mission in this deep dive is to meticulously unpack the incredible ascent of Elon Musk, drawing specific insights and lessons directly from the comprehensive source material you've provided. We aim to present a compelling narrative that moves beyond just the surface-level facts, offering, a more nuanced understanding of the vision, the resilience, and frankly, the sheer audacity that underpinned his meteoric rise.
It's quite a story. And as we explore how a boy from South Africa came to shape entire industries like transportation and space, well, it's also worth considering the immense pressures, right? The seemingly insurmountable obstacles, and yes, the controversies that often seem to accompany that level of ambition. We'll aim to lay out the foundational moments, those pivotal decisions, and that sheer, almost unbelievable audacity that marked every step of his path.
Precisely. We'll examine the early, unmistakable signs of his relentless drive, the calculated yet massive risks he took, and the singular vision that allowed him to perceive groundbreaking possibilities where others saw only insurmountable challenges or even outright folly. This isn't merely a chronicle of wealth accumulation. It's a profound study in personal transformation and the profound impact of unwavering conviction on the trajectory of industries and maybe even humanity itself.
Okay, let's jump right in then, starting at the very beginning. Born in Pretoria, South Africa, 1971, Elon Musk showed early, undeniable signs of his future trajectory. His childhood wasn't just marked by a casual interest in books, computers, and science. It was an outright obsession, wasn't it? He wasn't just reading, he was devouring information.
Absolutely. And what's profoundly fascinating here is how these intense childhood interests so often presage future innovation, not just as hobbies, but as formative experiences. For many children, these might be passing fancies. But for Elon, these weren't just pastimes. It was a deep, almost compulsive dive into understanding the fundamental mechanics of the world, and more critically, how it could be fundamentally re-engineered. We're talking about a child who, instead of playing typical games, was reading entire encyclopedias, absorbing science fiction, and mastering complex programming languages, really getting into it. This wasn't merely consuming information. He was systematically dissecting it, understanding its underlying principles, what's often referred to as first principles thinking, and likely already imagining how those principles could be radically applied. This self-directed, intense period of learning effectively built the robust mental frameworks, the ones that would later enable him to tackle incredibly ambitious, multidisciplinary engineering and business challenges. It laid the groundwork for his unique, often contrarian problem-solving approach.
So it's almost as if he was unconsciously training himself, building his intellectual arsenal long before the grand ventures of Tesla or SpaceX were even conceived, laying a deep, intricate foundation. Yet his childhood wasn't solely about intellectual curiosity and academic pursuits. It had a profoundly challenging, even dark side. The source material highlights a significant and painful period: severe bullying. He was bullied so intensely, we learned, that he actually required hospitalization at one point. It's hard to imagine that kind of difficult, traumatic start.
Mhm. This detail about his severe bullying as a child is truly poignant. It really makes you wonder how such formative adversity shapes a person. When we connect this to the broader picture of his life, it raises a crucial question. How do these early adversities not just fuel later determination, but fundamentally alter one's psychological makeup? For many, such experiences could be crippling, right? Leading to a retreat from the world or a fear of public scrutiny. But for Elon, the stark contrast between this vulnerable, painful beginning and his later unparalleled success is striking.
Yeah, it really is.
It strongly suggests that perhaps this early struggle forged an incredibly thick skin, a unique kind of immunity to external criticism. When you face that level of personal attack and physical harm early in life, the noise from financial markets, the skepticism of the press, or even the ridicule from competitors, well, it might simply register differently. It fosters an internal compass that says, I faced worse, I can push through this, allowing him to make audacious decisions that others might shy away from due to a fear of failure or public ridicule. This isn't merely about resilience like just bouncing back. It's a fundamental recalibration of what constitutes a setback and a profound internal fortitude that drives an almost unbreakable will.
That level of physical and emotional trauma as a child, only to then go on to achieve what he has. It's a powerful and unsettling juxtaposition. It sets up an immediate theme of extraordinary, almost defiant resilience. And even amidst that adversity, we see the first undeniable spark of his determination and entrepreneurial spirit. The source gives us a truly remarkable specific detail. By the age of 12, he had already programmed and successfully sold his first video game called Blastar. 12.
That detail about Blastar is incredibly telling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most 12-year-olds are just playing video games. Elon was creating and monetizing one. This wasn't just a cute anecdote from his past. It was a concrete, tangible demonstration of his inherent entrepreneurial spirit and a very practical determination. It shows that his drive wasn't something that developed later in life, perhaps with exposure to business schools or mentors. No, it emerged incredibly young, almost instinctively. He didn't just learn about computers and coding. He was already thinking about how to create value from them, how to solve a problem, even if that problem was just creating an engaging game, and how to monetize that creativity. The act of selling Blaster for about $500, which was a significant sum for a 12-year-old in 1984, wasn't just about making a sale. It was about identifying a need, crafting a solution, executing on it, and then successfully bringing it to market. It validated his abilities and crucially demonstrated a comfort with the entire creation to commercialization process at an age when most of us are still figuring out, basic social dynamics.
So that early success, even at 12, wasn't just a flash in the pan. It was a powerful validation of his innate drive and a preview of the relentless innovator he would become. It laid a formidable foundation, setting the stage for his next massive leap, literally across continents, chasing opportunity. Building on that early self-taught foundation, the next major chapter in Elon Musk's journey involves a dramatic and decisive leap across continents. At just 17, with what the source describes as almost nothing, he made the pivotal decision to leave South Africa. Just consider that for a moment. Most 17-year-olds are still figuring out college applications, maybe, let alone relocating to a new continent with barely any resources.
Yeah, it's huge. This decision profoundly highlights the power of conviction in a place, a system that you believe will genuinely allow you to realize your grandest ambitions. Leaving everything familiar behind with so little, it's an act of profound self-belief and a testament to his clear vision of where he needed to be to achieve his goals. He wasn't just randomly moving. He was strategically positioning himself in what he perceived as the undisputed epicenter of innovation and unparalleled opportunity, North America. His academic journey, starting at Queen's University in Canada, then transferring to the University of Pennsylvania in the U.S., wasn't merely about acquiring a degree.
Right, it was more deliberate.
Exactly. It was a calculated immersion into environments that vigorously fostered technological advancement, critical thinking, and crucially, entrepreneurial spirit. He held a deep, almost unwavering belief that America was where truly big dreams could take root and flourish. And what's truly remarkable is how unequivocally that belief proved to be true for him. This wasn't merely ambition. It was a deeply ingrained conviction that certain environments are exponentially more conducive to large-scale innovation, and that his presence within one was, like, non-negotiable for his aspirations.
It's incredible how he perceived America as this fertile ground for ambition and then made such a deliberate, almost audacious move to plant himself squarely within it. And it genuinely didn't take long for that conviction to start yielding results, leading directly to his first major ventures. We learned that in 1995, Musk and his brother Kimball started a software company called Zip2.
And the story Zip2 isn't just about the act of starting a company. It's a testament to the sheer, unadulterated grit and raw dedication involved. The source paints a vivid, almost Spartan picture of their early days. They worked nonstop, literally sleeping on beanbags in their small Palo Alto office, often showering at a local YMCA.
Wow. Just
Okay.
living it.
Totally. This isn't just a romanticized anecdote of early startup life. It's a critical insight into the relentless dedication and profound personal sacrifice required for their initial breakthrough. Zip2 was essentially an early online city guide for newspapers, helping businesses get found digitally before, Google Maps or widespread internet directories even existed. They weren't just putting in long hours, they were effectively living their work, blurring the lines between personal life and professional ambition to an extreme degree. This level of total immersion allowed them to accelerate development, react with unparalleled speed to challenges, and build momentum in a nascent industry in a way that a more traditional 9-to-5 work schedule simply wouldn't permit. It demonstrates a profound, almost fanatical commitment to their vision, a willingness to endure extreme discomfort and exhaustion for the sake of bringing their ideas to fruition.
That kind of dedication is truly phenomenal.
Hmm.
Imagine you're literally sleeping next to your server racks, your life entirely consumed by the venture, and that relentless, almost monastic effort paid off in a huge way. 4 years later, in 1999, Compaq acquired Zip2 for a staggering $307 million in cash. This made Elon Musk, at just 27 years old, a multi-millionaire. I mean, think about that for a moment. At 27, you've just made millions of dollars. You could walk away from it all and live a life of unparalleled luxury. Most people would be set for life.
Right. But what's truly fascinating here is what happened immediately after. He didn't just sit on that initial success, did he? The source explicitly states he didn't stop there. In fact, he founded X.com, which would later merge with a competitor to become PayPal, almost immediately after the Zip2 acquisition.
No hesitation.
Exactly. This decision speaks volumes about his underlying motivation. It wasn't primarily about accumulating wealth for the sake of leisure or early retirement, as it might be for many. It was about building, innovating, and tackling new, even larger challenges. The drive to create, to disrupt industries, and to solve problems was clearly a more powerful, indeed an insatiable motivator than the desire for a comfortable, conventional life. This rapid progression from one major venture to the next demonstrates not just ambition, but a fundamental restlessness, a constant, almost impatient pursuit of the next significant impact. He wasn't content to simply win one game. He saw the entire field.
You can clearly see how he wasn't content to just sit on that initial life-changing success, can't you? He immediately poured his energy and much of his capital into the next big thing. And PayPal, of course, became an even more monumental success story. The source highlights PayPal's eventual sale to eBay for a staggering $1.5 billion in 2002, and it specifically mentions Musk's share was over $100 million.
What's truly compelling here is not just the rapid scaling, but the compounding of financial success. It wasn't just one hit, but back-to-back, even larger, major wins, each building powerfully on the last. PayPal was a fundamentally different kind of company than Zip2, shifting from a software directory service to a revolutionary online payment system. This transition showcases an incredible adaptability and a keen, almost prescient eye for nascent, high-growth markets that were ripe for disruption.
Mm-hmm.
His pivotal involvement in PayPal, which fundamentally changed how people transact online and effectively created the modern e-commerce payment infrastructure, demonstrated his uncanny ability to identify and build truly disruptive technologies that have widespread global societal impact. The sheer scale of the eBay acquisition and his significant share from it solidified his position not just as a successful entrepreneur, but as a major financial player with substantial capital to deploy for even grander, more audacious visions. It's not just about the numbers. It's about demonstrating a repeated, consistent capacity for identifying massive opportunities, then executing on them with unparalleled effectiveness.
So, by his early 30s, he had already achieved what most people could only dream of in a lifetime, and he had done it twice over. He had accumulated hundreds of millions of dollars. He could have literally bought an island, retired, and spent the rest of his days sipping exotic drinks on a pristine beach. But that's not what happened, is it? Not even close. Okay, let's unpack this truly pivotal moment. After accumulating hundreds of millions from Zip2 and PayPal, instead of doing what virtually anyone else in his position would do, retire rich, secure, comfortable, Musk made a decision that sounds almost unfathomable to most of us. He risked everything. The source explicitly states he invested his entire fortune, every single dollar he had earned, the fruit of years of relentless, all-consuming work and incredible success, into three new ventures: Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City. Just imagine that for a second. Every penny poured into highly ambitious, capital-intensive, and at the time extremely risky companies, all simultaneously.
It's mind-boggling. This decision, more than almost any other, raises a fundamental question. What kind of vision, what level of conviction compels someone to risk everything they've accumulated? It's not just about money. It's about a profound, almost existential belief in what's possible and what must be achieved for humanity's future. A conviction so deep that it overrides any personal financial security or conventional notions of risk management. Most people, upon reaching that level of wealth, would seek to diversify, secure their legacy, or simply enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Right.
Absolutely.
Standard playbook.
But Elon's decision to go all in speaks to a different kind of motivation, one driven by an urgent desire to fundamentally revolutionize industries, tackle what he perceives as existential threats to humanity like climate change and species extinction, and push the very boundaries of human achievement by making humanity multiplanetary. He wasn't building these companies to sell them quickly for a profit. He was building companies he believed absolutely had to exist for humanity's long-term survival and flourishing, even if it meant personal ruin. This level of audacity, this profound self-sacrifice for a perceived greater good, is incredibly rare.
It's astounding. The sheer audacity of that move and the immense personal risk involved is genuinely hard to wrap your head around. It wasn't just a portion of his wealth, it was everything. And that decision, as you noted, led him to some incredibly precarious situations. The source reveals the harrowing detail that at one point, all three companies, Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City, were teetering on the brink, agonizingly close to collapse. And to drive home the stark gravity of the situation, it even mentions he had to borrow money for rent. Borrow money for rent!
Right. Here's where it gets exceptionally interesting and profoundly human. To go from having hundreds of millions in the bank to literally having to borrow money for rent, it vividly illustrates the immense, almost unbearable personal pressure he was under. This wasn't just a financial setback on paper. It was a deeply humanizing detail that laid bare the raw vulnerability of the situation. It wasn't just his immense reputation on the line, but his very livelihood, and perhaps more importantly, the livelihoods and dreams of countless employees who had bought into his audacious vision. In late 2008, during the height of the global financial crisis, both Tesla and SpaceX were weeks, if not days, from bankruptcy.
Unbelievable pressure.
Yeah, totally. Tesla struggled with production hell on the Roadster, while SpaceX faced multiple launch failures of its Falcon 1 rocket. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it speaks to the incredibly thin, almost invisible line between audacious vision and complete catastrophic failure. Especially in highly ambitious ventures that are tempting to do things that have literally never been done before, like building a mass-market electric vehicle company from scratch or perfecting reusable orbital rockets. Many entrepreneurs reach this precipice, but very few possess the capital, the unwavering belief, or the mental fortitude to push through it when they're literally risking everything they have and more. It was a crucible, a moment of truth where his character and conviction were truly forged under immense duress.
That level of stress, knowing you've bet it all and are now borrowing for basic necessities, must have been immense, a suffocating weight. It's a profound testament to his almost inhuman tenacity that he didn't just walk away. But against those overwhelming odds, against the chorus of skeptics and the specter of bankruptcy, he managed to pull off some truly incredible turnarounds. The source highlights the crucial breakthroughs that literally saved his ventures. SpaceX successfully launching a rocket into orbit, and Tesla finally delivering its first roadster.
And these weren't just incremental improvements or small wins. They were monumental triumphs against overwhelming odds, precisely at the moment when survival hung by a thread. The SpaceX launch, specifically the Falcon 1 rocket reaching orbit on its fourth attempt in September 2008, was revolutionary. After three consecutive failures that nearly drained the company's entire capital, that single success secured a crucial NASA contract for resupplying the International Space Station, fundamentally changing SpaceX's trajectory. It was the first time a privately developed liquid propellant rocket had reached orbit, challenging decades of conventional wisdom and the dominance of government space agencies. Similarly, the delivery of the first Tesla Roadster, also in 2008, wasn't just about selling an expensive car. It was about proving that an electric vehicle could be desirable, high performance, and a legitimate contender in the luxury automotive industry, not just, a glorified golf cart. It proved that his vision for an electric future was viable and that Tesla could engineer a functional, appealing product. These moments weren't just business successes. They were technological breakthroughs, acts of defiance against perceived impossibilities that validated his seemingly impossible visions. They provided the undeniable proof points that allowed him to secure further, critical funding, attract top-tier talent, and definitively silence the growing chorus of doubters who had written him off entirely. It reinforced the gamble paid-off narrative in the most spectacular and dramatic way, demonstrating that his conviction, however audacious, was not misplaced.
So what does this all mean? Against every expectation, and when the chips were truly irrevocably down, he pulled it off. These successes weren't just fortunate breaks. They were the direct culmination of that relentless hard work, unwavering vision, and incredible, almost foolhardy risk-taking finally bearing fruit. It's a powerful demonstration that sometimes you truly have to risk absolute everything to achieve something truly transformative, something that shifts the very foundations of an industry. And these turnarounds weren't just about survival. They were the absolute launch pad for his meteoric ascent to the pinnacle of global wealth. Building on those crucial near-death turnarounds, we move into the era where Elon Musk's ventures didn't just survive. They absolutely soared, leading directly to his unprecedented status as the richest man alive. Let's start with Tesla. The source tells us it transformed to become the most valuable car company in the world, far surpassing established giants like Toyota, Volkswagen, and GM. This isn't just about selling a lot of cars, is it? It's much deeper than that.
No, it's profoundly more significant than simple sales figures or market capitalization alone. Tesla didn't just become valuable, it fundamentally, irrevocably disrupted an entrenched global industry that had resisted significant transformative change for decades. What's truly fascinating here is how Tesla didn't just succeed, but systematically shifted the entire automotive industry's paradigm by demonstrating the undeniable viability, the surging desirability, and crucially, the technological superiority of electric vehicles. When Elon started, electric cars were largely dismissed as, like you said, glorified golf carts, quirky niche curiosities, or impractical concepts. His initial vision and sheer persistence through those incredibly difficult early times, where the company was constantly teetering on the brink of financial collapse and technical failure, allowed him to push through immense technological barriers and overcome profound skepticism from traditional automakers and the wider public. Tesla's innovation wasn't just in the electric powertrain. It was in their advanced battery technology, their integrated software platform, their unique direct-to-consumer sales model, and their global gigafactories. Tesla's undeniable success forced an entire sluggish industry to pivot, accelerating the global transition to sustainable transportation in a way that seemed utterly impossible just a decade prior. It's an undeniable testament to his long-term vision and unwavering, almost messianic belief in a future powered by clean energy, pushing relentlessly past the immediate financial and engineering challenges.
And it wasn't just the automotive industry that he revolutionized. SpaceX, too, achieved something truly groundbreaking, something that had been considered science fiction for decades. The source highlights SpaceX's achievement of making reusable rockets a reality. This isn't just a cool party trick, is it? What are the profound, broader implications of that innovation for space travel and beyond?
Oh, the implications are truly immense, bordering on the transformative. For nearly half a century, space travel was astronomically expensive,
Hmm.
precisely because rockets were essentially single-use items, meticulously built, launched, and then irrevocably discarded into the ocean after each mission. SpaceX's mastery of reusable rocket technology, specifically with their Falcon 9 first stage, which can land vertically back on Earth or on an autonomous drone ship after delivering its payload, fundamentally changes the economics of space exploration and access.
Game changer.
Totally. It dramatically reduces the cost of launching payloads into orbit, effectively making spaceflight dramatically cheaper, almost like converting a single-use plastic bottle into a highly efficient, endlessly reusable one. This wasn't just about achieving efficiency, it was a defiant, audacious engineering feat that challenged decades of conventional wisdom and the established practices in aerospace. It opened up unprecedented possibilities for more frequent launches, enabling the deployment of massive constellations of satellites like Starlink, and crucially, making human settlement beyond Earth, particularly on Mars, a more tangible, less fantastical long-term goal. It's a technological leap that shifts paradigms and accelerates future progress in ways we are only just beginning to fully comprehend, demonstrating a capacity to challenge what was considered impossible, and then, through sheer engineering prowess, relentless iteration, and a willingness to accept spectacular failures along the way, make it commonplace.
So we have Tesla dominating the global car market, radically shifting it towards electric vehicles and sustainable energy solutions. And SpaceX making reusable rockets a reality, literally changing the game for space travel, democratizing access to orbit, and setting the stage for interstellar colonization. And the source makes it unequivocally clear that with each successive achievement, with each validation of his audacious visions, Elon's personal fortunes skyrocketed.
Indeed, each validation of his grand, often mocked visions, each major milestone achieved by Tesla and SpaceX didn't just add value, it compounded it exponentially. The market, initially skeptical, began to recognize that these weren't just successful companies, but fundamental drivers of future economic and technological growth, representing an entirely new frontier of industrial and societal impact. The public and, critically, investors alike began to truly believe in his ambitious long-term goals and his uncanny, almost supernatural ability to execute them, no matter how impossible or ambitious they seemed at first glance. This positive feedback loop of relentless innovation, dramatic validation, and surging market capitalization led directly and inexorably to the culmination of this incredible financial journey. The exponential trajectory of his net worth precisely mirrors the upward trajectory of the groundbreaking technologies he brought to fruition.
And that trajectory peaked, at least for a remarkable moment, in 2021. The source explicitly tells us that by 2021, he surpassed Amazon founder Jeff Bezos to become the richest man alive, with a mind-boggling net worth of over $200 billion. Just like that, the boy who was severely bullied in South Africa, who struggled profoundly to make ends meet and had to borrow for rent during his darkest entrepreneurial moments, became the richest man on earth. It's truly a full circle moment, a culmination, and a testament to an extraordinary journey of relentless will.
It's more than just a full circle moment. It's a profound, almost mythic validation of the extreme risks he willingly took and the uncompromising, almost singular vision he held against all odds. To go from such a vulnerable position in childhood through multiple periods of existential corporate and personal financial ruin to ultimately reaching the absolute pinnacle of global wealth by fundamentally reshaping multiple deeply entrenched industries. Well, it's a narrative almost without precedent in modern history. It powerfully underscores the incredible, almost unimaginable impact that a unique combination of singular vision, immense courage, and almost pathological comfort with failure and relentless execution can have on the world, extending far beyond just an individual's financial standing. It illustrates with vivid clarity that true transformative wealth, in his case, was not an end goal, but a direct byproduct of solving massive, complex problems that virtually everyone else either ignored, deemed impractical, or dismissed as utterly impossible.
What an incredible story. From those early struggles and near bankruptcies to literally topping the global wealth charts by creating entirely new industries. It's hard to imagine a more dramatic or impactful transformation. So, after diving deep into the fascinating and at times almost unbelievable journey of Elon Musk, what are the core principles, the irreducible key takeaways that emerge most powerfully from this intricate narrative? The source explicitly highlights three non negotiable elements that seem to underpin his extraordinary success: radical risk taking, uncompromising vision, and relentless hard work.
Right. And this raises an important question about the absolute non-negotiables in achieving truly extraordinary goals. It wasn't just one of these in isolation. It was the intense, synergistic, and sustained combination of all three, pushed to their absolute limits. Risk for him wasn't just about starting a new company with a good idea. It was about betting his entire previously accumulated personal fortune, hundreds of millions of dollars, on ventures with extremely low, almost improbable odds of success, especially in their early stages. This speaks to a profound comfort with, or even a deep-seated necessity for, extreme personal exposure to achieve extreme outcomes. Vision wasn't about incremental improvements on existing products or services. It was about fundamentally reimagining entire global industries, transportation, energy, and space travel, on a multi-decade timeline, often against entrenched incumbents and prevailing scientific skepticism. And relentless hard work wasn't just putting in long hours at the office. It was the literal dedication to living and breathing his companies, overcoming crushing setbacks, enduring production hell, and facing down the brink of bankruptcy with an almost inhuman level of persistence and an unshakable belief in the ultimate goal. These elements were not just present at isolated key moments, they were consistently woven throughout every single stage of his journey, from selling his first video game as a child to facing down the very real prospect of utter financial and reputational ruin in 2008. They form the unwavering bedrock of his unique and often controversial approach to business and innovation.
It really hammers home that these weren't just abstract concepts for him. They were the very fabric of his operational model, the core of his being. Radical risk, uncompromising vision, relentless hard work. They were there from day one through every daunting challenge and ultimately through every triumph. And so, what's the enduring message from Elon Musk's story for all of us listening right now? The source offers a deceptively simple yet profoundly powerful directive: dream big and never give up.
That message, while seemingly simple and perhaps even cliche on the surface, carries an almost visceral, profound weight when viewed through the lens of his actual lived experiences. It's not just a motivational slogan, it's a hard-won distillation of life lived at the absolute extremes of ambition, perseverance, and frankly, suffering. It encourages you, the listener, to actively consider how these principles, perhaps adjusted for your own circumstances, might apply to your own aspirations, no matter the scale or perceived difficulty. Perhaps your big dream isn't to colonize Mars, but it could be to launch a meaningful small business, master a new complex skill, overcome a significant personal challenge, or create something innovative in your own field.
Yeah, it's scalable in a way.
Exactly. The core lesson remains strikingly consistent. Define a compelling, ambitious vision. Be willing to take calculated, or in his case, seemingly uncalculated risks, and then commit yourself to the extraordinary, sustained effort required to see it through. Even when faced with overwhelming obstacles, widespread skepticism, or multiple failures. His journey stands as a powerful, almost defiant reminder that conventional wisdom doesn't always lead to groundbreaking results, and that sometimes truly defying the odds requires an almost irrational, unyielding belief in your own capacity to achieve what others deem utterly impossible.
For you listening right now, what part of this incredible story truly resonates? Is it the early resilience in the face of brutal bullying? The audacious, all or nothing decision to bet absolutely everything on a multiplanetary vision? Or the relentless, almost superhuman drive that allowed him to bounce back from the brink of total bankruptcy not once but repeatedly? It genuinely gives you pause to reflect on your own approach to challenges, to your aspirations, and to the very nature of persistence. What an incredible deep dive today. We've traced a truly extraordinary path from a bullied child in Pretoria, South Africa, to the world's wealthiest individual, a force who has fundamentally reshaped multiple global industries along the way. His story is a powerful, undeniable testament to the transformative power of singular vision, radical risk-taking, and relentless, almost indefatigable execution.
It's a narrative that continues to evolve, of course, with new ventures and new challenges constantly emerging. But the foundational elements of his success and the lessons they offer remain constant and deeply insightful. It invites us all to consider the immense possibilities when someone couples an unwavering, almost unshakable belief in a future vision with an almost superhuman capacity for work and an unparalleled comfort with extreme personal risk.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left with a truly provocative question, one that our source material prompts us to ponder as his story continues to unfold. So, do you think Elon Musk will stay the richest man, or will someone else inevitably take the crown? It's a question that truly gets at the dynamic, often fleeting nature of wealth, the relentless pace of innovation, and the ever-present churn of ambition in our rapidly changing world. The top is rarely a static position, is it?
Absolutely not. The very forces of innovation and disruption, the same forces that propelled him to the pinnacle of global wealth, are constantly, relentlessly at play, potentially elevating new contenders, creating entirely new industries, or reshaping the competitive landscape entirely. It's a fascinating thought experiment, reminding us that even at the pinnacle, the journey of striving, innovating, and competing never truly ends.
A lot to think about there and a lot to watch unfold. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Elon Musk. Until next time, keep dreaming big and keep pushing your own boundaries.